Officer Brandon Tatum said Nolan was on the sniff. But I see that Officer Brandon Tatum has been noticeably quiet since the toxicology report began circulating online, raising new questions in this same Nolan Wells case. Like, what is real? What is authentic? Is there more to this story? This is what we need to understand, because it seems like Officer Brandon Tatum has already chosen a side. So today we are going to be breaking this down. We're going to get into what's been claimed, and we're going to get into what's been verified and what still doesn't add up. So let's get right into it. If you're new here, welcome to On Go. I'm Uda. Make sure you're subscribing to the channel. Hype the video, like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you hit the notification bells so you're notified when we're dropping new content. Let's get right into the breakdown.
This is, let me just tell you, it's not real. According to all sources, it's not real, including the people who are in Mississippi. Now everybody's got the name of it and the department and all the things. And anyways, it's fake, and they're warning. I'll play a report from you in just a little bit. But this weekend, this document was making its round online, claiming to be Nolan's toxicology report. The family says it's fake. The representatives say it's fake. The officials in Mississippi say it's fake. The official toxicology report hasn't even been released yet. And people are arguing over this anyways. You can take it down, Andy. People are arguing over this anyways, as if it is real. Again, it is not real. I like to bat down the misinformation. And look, I had to laugh for a second. It's laughable. It's not funny. Not because it's funny, because it is unbelievable. We have reached the point where we're debating evidence that apparently isn't even evidence. We're debating this audio thing it's not evidence yet. I mean, look, it could lead to something. But as I said last week, even the woman who did the audio analysis says this is my interpretation, and it should not be the only interpretation, but people are taking it as if it's fact, as if it's exactly what the people said. We don't know that yet. I'm sorry. I know that you guys, people want to hear that, and they're like, she said this, she said Nolan, she said dead, she said that. We don't know yet. I've heard things. I've heard like words, but we don't know. Then I started thinking about the people caught in the middle of all this, which is the main reason we should slow our roll on a lot of this stuff. Nolan's mother. Can you imagine? She talked about it in an exclusive interview with us on Friday. She talked about people making up things, people talking about alcohol and all of that stuff, and what may or may not have been in the system, and all of that, blaming the victim. She says, we know the patterns. If you saw the interview, if you can find that part of it, Andy, I think it's probably on social media, and we'll play it for you later. Can you imagine you lose your son, and now you have strangers on the internet telling you how to grieve, questioning every interview, every decision, questioning your motives as a parent who has lost an 18-year-old son, as if anybody watching on YouTube knows what losing a child is supposed to look like. And for one of those kids to say, well, you know what, Nolan would be heartbroken or horrified, I'm paraphrasing, about the way his parents are handling this. What? How dare you? How dare you? First of all, how dare you speak for the parents and to criticize the parents in that way, especially if you don't know how they're grieving. You don't look like you're grieving. And the other thing is, how dare you speak for the dead? How dare you? And then even here in our own house, the threats, the online chatter about our very own Daniel, who works with us. He's doing what reporters do. He's making calls, he's asking questions, he's following leads, he's trying to separate fact from fiction, he's trying to keep it non-emotional, and then people attack him. They call him biased. They say he's part of some conspiracy. Maybe he's one of the friends. I mean, and he doesn't know these people from a hole in the wall. He's never met them. Based on what? What? Because he reported something that they didn't want to hear. And then those teenagers, they're being attacked. As a matter of fact, we're going to play a report for you. Their families and them, they're being attacked, and law enforcement has jumped in. I'll play that for you in a minute. Ben Crump attacked as well. Sheriff Ledbetter getting all kinds of criticism. Some of it is warranted. Much of it is. He's not being very transparent, and he's picking and choosing who he speaks to. I haven't seen, since it happened, since the first day, not an open press conference where he just comes out and answers questions. Haven't seen it. The parents attacked, reporters attacked. At some point, over the weekend, I stopped and I asked myself, so who's left? Who's left that hasn't become the enemy? And then I realized something else. Do you know who's getting lost in all this? I think you know who's getting lost in all this. Tell me if you know in the comments. Guess who's getting lost in all of this? Nolan. Thank you, Shug H. Nolan.
It's a fact, man. Nolan's the one getting lost in this whole mix-up, man. He's even being used for give, send, goes. They've already raised about $90-something thousand already off the back of his name. It's crazy, bro. It's really crazy. And I see how they arrested people that was threatening Ashley Cole, who's Warren's stepmother, and other people. Another woman was also arrested for making threats. But what about the people that's threatening Nolan Wells' family? What about people that's threatening anybody that say, you know what, justice for Nolan? What about that? The scale is so unbalanced. I don't know what to say about it, man.
Thank you, Taurus. Thank you. Nolan is getting lost in all this. We've turned this into Team Sheriff, Team Crump, Team Teenagers, Team Parents, Team YouTube, Team TikTok, Team Facebook, Team Black. If you don't believe it, you didn't hear that, you're not black enough. Team, I don't know if they even call it Oreo anymore, but team, all of it. If you're like, wait a minute, I didn't really hear that. Well, you ain't black. We don't know. No, look, you guys know I'm well aware of the history of Mississippi. I know what's up with Mississippi. I'm well aware of how disingenuous some of these interviews sound. I'm well aware of people who being in power hiding things, well aware of that. But for sure, we don't know. Now, we can surmise. Some things are obvious and they make sense, but everybody's on a team now. But who is on Team Nolan? Because I believe Team Nolan ought to be the people who say, you know what? Slow down. Or as we say, slow your roll. Or as my mentor used to say, Frida, who worked at NBC, cool your jets.
Cool your jets is classic.
Cool your jets. Take a breath. Slow down. Let's get this right. Let's stop pretending we know things that we don't know. Let's stop passing around fake documents. Let's stop convicting people. Let's stop exonerating people. And let's stop deciding what happened before the people whose job it is to investigate have finished investigating. Now, we can criticize.
This is another critical one. I got to give it to y'all. This is real critical. I want to show y'all something real quick. Look at this. The acceleration, the trim, and the bilge pump failure. Did those young men on that boat cause their own failure by accelerating, trying to speed up off that island? This is allegedly, but let's question it. Do you know what a bilge pump is? Do you know what the bilge part of the boat is? Do you know what a bilge pump does? That's what this infographic is here to show you. Okay, you see how you take off with the trim down and the bow down? When you're on a plane, you trim up and you optimize it. You go even kill straight, boom. But when you go too fast with too much trim, look what happens with the boat. The boat's tip starts to raise up out the water, and then it begins to slam, as you can see on the lower left, right? It begins to slam and pound. That can damage, loosen clamps, shatter wires, and it can cause stresses on the boat and break that same bilge pump. The bilge pump removes water that collects in the lowest part of the boat, which is called the bilge, okay? So were they speeding to get up out of there and they broke their own bilge pump? Is that the thing that's going on? And usually when it comes to a bilge pump, dying is not the word that they use to describe it. It fails, it breaks. It's so many other words that they use. So some people saying, no, they talking about the boat was dead. When we think we hearing, yo, son, is he dead? They talking about, is it dead? That don't even describe a bilge pump, bro. Maybe a motor, but we know that the motor wasn't broke too much because that shit was still moving. Man, that boat was moving, man. The boat was on go. Don't lie to me, man. Look how many moves the boat made, bro. Look how many moves that boat made. But yet it was filled with water, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. I was born at night, not last night.
Them, we can analyze them, we can report on them, we can give our own opinions about things, we can give our own points of view about things. But at the end,
everybody, please hit the poll. Everybody, please like, share if you can, subscribe to Udo Go, and hit the notification bells to make sure you're notified, all right? No matter what side of the world or what side of the fence you're on this, okay? We don't believe in echo chambers. Have your own thought. You for Nolan, you're not. That's your own business. I'm not here to make anybody believe nothing, okay? I'm not even here to make you believe in Jesus, all right? But do what you need to do in that chat. If you don't like me and you don't like it, dislike it then. Hit the dislike button. I don't care. Make a move in the program. I don't want everybody sitting around me in the matrix looking like damn Mr. Smith on me. Nah, stop looking like Agent Smith.
End of the day, do we really know, even for the people out there saying, oh yeah, I know. Oh yeah, I know what happened. I know what happened. I know what I heard. I know what I heard. I know you know what you heard, but you know what you heard within a snippet of 30 seconds of random words from random people. Again, you can surmise. So let's stop deciding what happened before the people whose job it is to investigate have finished doing the investigating. I know, but look, that's not exciting. That doesn't get you thrilled. That's not like the mystery of things. As a matter of fact, I was having, do you guys know who Eddie Glaude is? Eddie, I have Eddie's book right here. And Eddie's going to join me in studio this week. I saw him yesterday, and this is Eddie's book, right? And we had Eddie on the show, and Eddie's like, America, USA, How Race Shadows a Nation's Anniversaries, Eddie S. Glaude Jr. So Eddie and I were talking about this yesterday. He's going to come on, and he's like, look, there's, well, I'll let him explain to you why he believes that this has captured the heart of the nation. A lot of it has to do with race. A lot of it has to do with the history of Mississippi. A lot of it has to do with the news media. A lot of it. I know that that's not exciting to, not like to come up with something, but the mystery crime people, I mean, that is no wonder now for me with this experience why crime is like the #1 category in streaming and podcasting. If you want success, just do a crime mystery podcast. And it's usually if they're good, they go gangbusters, even if you don't know. And especially if you like put some fancy graphics behind it and breaking bombshell, gonna be a success. But the truth it always comes down to the truth. I don't know yet is not very sexy. It's not a sexy headline. But you know what? Sometimes it's the most honest sentence in the English language is that I don't know yet. I don't know what happened to Nolan Wells, and neither do you. The sheriff doesn't know yet. He might have some idea. Maybe there's something that they're withholding. What are they hiding? They could be hiding something. We don't know. I'm just saying. It's true. Remember, it is Mississippi. Ben Crump doesn't know yet, or he might know something too, because he has the independent autopsy. And that may have revealed some stuff that they know and they're not sharing with us. It's their right. They don't have to. The investigators don't have to share anything. But I think to clear things up, they should. The people making the YouTube videos certainly do not know yet. That's why I have my idea about what I think would happen, but I haven't put together a whole thing yet because I just don't know. Because you put it out there and people are going to go, oh, I saw it on Don Lemon, and Don Lemon said this is what happened. Because there's like, you know what I'm saying? I don't want that. The people posting on Facebook, they don't know. The people who are writing on these Reddit threads, I've seen all of it. They don't know. People are clipping us everywhere. Good. But that is why there's an investigation. That's why there's forensic evidence. That's why there's a state autopsy. That's why there is a cell phone being examined or cell phones, and that's why there may be a grand jury. There will be a grand jury. That's not out of the ordinary for this, is that they're going to send it to the grand jury. Because the purpose of an investigation isn't to confirm what we already believe. It is to find out what actually happened. It is not confirmation bias, which is what a lot of people are looking for. And here's what I am wondering this morning when those answers finally come. Will we be willing to hear those answers? Do you guys know what confirmation bias is? If you let me
Google it. Confirmation bias. That's what they're saying that we're having. They're saying that we all have confirmation bias. Okay. For us to listen to that audio, right? If you listen to the audio and you read the transcripts already, then your brain automatically starts to think you're hearing what you heard. So you have a confirmation bias. You've pre-confirmed things already. But I listened to that audio without reading the transcripts, and it doesn't matter. Everybody feels the same thing about those damn transcripts, except who? TMZ and a few other people, which they've been allegedly putting out misinformation. That's the news thing that's going on, and we may get into that too as well on this stream. How do we all hear the same thing? Think about that.
Somebody look up confirmation bias for me. And if you can, and then just read it to me. Just Google confirmation bias. Do you guys know what confirmation bias is? When those answers finally come, will we be willing to hear them? Who's there? Is an intern there that can read it to me? Haley, Olivia, somebody?
Here we go on the screen.
What is it? Let me get it on my screen. Hang on. I have to get it on the secondary screen because my screen. Okay. Confirmation bias. People's tendency to process information by looking for or interpreting information that is consistent with their existing beliefs. This biased approach to decision-making is largely unintentional, and it results in a person ignoring information that is inconsistent with their beliefs. These beliefs can include a person's expectations in a given situation and their predictions about a particular outcome. People are especially likely to process information to support their own beliefs when an issue is highly important or self-relevant. And that's where we are. And that's where, look, that's why do you think people sit down and they watch Fox News all day? Confirmation bias. I knew it. See, I knew them Democrats were like that. I knew those libtards were like that. That's what they're doing. I knew Biden was bad. That's why they watch Fox News all day. And now that's not the same, because I'm not going to go, well, there's also MSNBC. It's not the same. MSNBC does not put election deniers on their air. They're doing a very good job right now. So say what you want. Are they on the liberal side? Yeah, I think they're on the liberal side, but I also think they're doing the right thing. I also think there's no room for liars. And they're not inviting people on who are going to lie to them on purpose.
Remember, Don is a guy that came from the news as well. I have many people that work in the news, many friends at the end of the day. People come to me, they got to color within the lines, all gray. Every news reporter's stories sound similar. Legacy media news, okay? Can we trust it? I don't know. It's very square, okay? You think that they're going to go off the cuff and tell you something real, risking lawsuit, risking their own station? Do you think they're going to do that? No, they're not. They're going to color within the lines. So let us not forget that. I'm not saying NBC or any of the stations are doing this, but this is just what big media news companies do, bro. It's just what happens, and it's just what they do, bro. No one's going to go off the cuff and tell you their real, true feeling of how they feel about a case or a situation. You're risking your job. You're risking the news station getting sued. Who's going to do that? You're going to get your own company sued? Why would you do that? Think about that. Come on, bro. You're going to color within the lines. That's why I shout out and salute to independent journalists, people that's going out, covering trials, covering cases, news stories, and giving their own opinion about what they feel about the facts. Straight up. Letting the facts run your thoughts, but giving your own opinion of the facts. So salute to everybody that's an independent journalist and is out here getting stories out here and covering real cases, man.
Spread misinformation. But that's why people sit down and they watch conservative media all day, is because it's confirmation bias. They don't care about facts. They do not care about facts at all. And I'm not done yet. Let me get a word in from our sponsors and I'm going to continue on with this. I want to tell you this. Look, here's some math that some people don't like thinking about. People are examining cell phones, and that's why there's a grand jury, which is not out of the ordinary for these kinds of things. The purpose, as I said, of
Speaking of the grand jury, okay? Speaking of the grand jury, let's go ahead real quick. Pardon me, Don. Speaking of the grand jury, let's go here for a second. Where we at? Let's go here. Let's go here.
I'm going to give you 8 points. As a former prosecutor, 30 years of experience, homicide prosecutors present 1,000 cases before the grand jury about the inside baseball, what the grand jury does. First, let's understand what a grand jury is. It is a body of people. It's completely controlled by the prosecutor. There's no judges. There's no lawyers for the family there. And therefore, the prosecutor can turn the spigot on and off as to what information that grand jury sees. Also, very importantly, this is a secret proceeding, and I mean secret. The judges cannot even get these transcripts to know what it is that the prosecutor did or they didn't do. Why is this important? Because there are 4 ways that the criminal justice process in Mississippi typically happens: investigation, arrest, initial appearance, and then presentation of the grand jury. But we're not doing any of that. So that says to me that they did not feel that they could file a complaint with probable cause to get an arrest and then follow the typical procedure to the grand jury. Rather, they're just going into the grand jury, that secret room where the prosecutor can ask the grand jurors to either indict a case or not to indict a case. And typically speaking, I will tell you from experience, having presented thousands of cases before grand juries, they typically do what it is that the prosecutor asks. In chart 2 here, you're going to see that you can do a number of different things when you go in to use a grand jury, and that's seek an indictment, that's investigate further to compel witness testimony and get documents, keep the investigation secret like we said, or to screen the case to see whether you're going to indict or if you're not going to indict. But the prosecutors already told us, and we'll have a clip where you can listen to this, that they already made a decision that they're going to go in to see whether or not anybody is going to be held responsible for this. That's an interesting tell, bing, bing, bing. Well, wait, if somebody was interested, I mean, if somebody shot somebody on the street, are you telling me you wouldn't arrest the person and then present the case to the grand jury? So why was there not an arrest already made here? Does this telegraph to us that they don't think that anybody is responsible? I don't know the answer to that question, but I can tell you prosecutors know before they go into the grand jury what they want that grand jury to do, and 99.9% of the time, the grand jury does exactly what the prosecutor asks. So,
did you hear that? Okay, 99.9% of the time. Hima, stop it. It's my daughter. 99.9% of the times, they do what the prosecutors want them to do. Usually you have a body, a suspect. Not a body is an alive body. You usually have a suspect, something that you're trying to present towards the grand jury. So you're going to go in with this specs of what you think it is, right? We also understand that the throat and the lungs and all of those things, they said, must be presented to a grand jury first. They're not even going to release anything about that, which those things are questionable. We don't understand what the hell happened to Nolan. We still don't understand why does he have discoloration in the back of his head, right? But they're going to present all of this to a grand jury, right? The findings of the throat, of the insides of the throat. How do we know if he wasn't choked? How do we know if he wasn't drowned at all? How do we know? You will know that if they get to break that down. The throat muscle spasm when you intake water, when you go underwater. Why are they holding out on that? Answer me that question. Let's get back to this, man. Salute to all of y'all. Make sure y'all all liking that button. Make sure y'all all are sharing, subscribing to Udo on Go, and hit the poll. I want y'all all voting in the poll. All right?
of this is not confirmation bias. It's not to confirm what you already think what you already believe, and you think that that's what happened. It's to find out exactly what happened. And here's what I am wondering this morning. When we finally get those answers, when we finally get those answers, are we going to be willing to hear them? Be honest with yourself. What if it's not what you think it is? On either side, where if you think like something happened to them, it was nefarious, people there had something to do with it, or if it was an accident, or if it was a drowning. Are you ready to believe what the evidence shows?
We're ready, but we just want some truth and we want some transparency. That's what we want, just like the family. Everybody wants the facts. Everybody wants truth. Everybody wants transparency. If anybody has made a mistake covering this, whether be it YouTubers, content creators, or anybody, I doubt anybody is not willing to say, my bad, I was wrong about this or I was wrong about that. That's just life. And we can take accountability for anything we do that's wrong, right? Some people got an issue with taking accountability. I do get that. So I'm not speaking for everyone. But if they wasn't dragging their feet on this investigation, so many things were so unsure, shaky as hell. Cell phones was being withheld from mothers and all types of things like that. Mad shaky situations. And we didn't hear that Cito audio thinking we heard what we heard. Can you blame us? Can you blame anybody that's covering this? Can you blame anybody that's in the chat listening to this? Can you blame anyone? Who do you blame? You got a person like Officer Tatum running around. He's supposed to be a cop and going to get the bad guys. But if there was a bad guy, that bad guy will be in that Brady bunch. But he already taken their side. So who do you blame? Us? Or the Mississippi Department of Justice down there? Who do you blame?
Or have you already made up your minds? Have we already made up our minds? Tell me what you think in the comments. Tell me what you think in the comments. Now, there's people in the comments saying, Don, you already know what's coming. No, I don't. I have no idea. I have no idea. I've been saying this since the very beginning. Now, do I see some things that are shady?
Don is saying things, right? But you got to understand that Don got a big channel. He's trying to push a network. He's trying to create a network over there. He already had one running when he was out in that protest and they ran down on his ass and arrested him. He don't need another one. And he damn sure don't need a lawsuit because he see that them young men over there are suing. Bart already lawyered up with the guy from the Mississippi Tribune and they already is trying to seek out lawsuits on content creators and said it's not about the money. It's just because what they want to do because Bart himself, i.e., is getting unaliving threats. Do you think Don Lemon wants one? A lawsuit? Do you think so? So he has to pull it back. But Nancy Grace over there is running. She busting her YouTube gun straight up. Sometimes some people don't like Nancy Grace. This time, Nancy Grace looking like she on the right side of this thing, and I'm not going to hold you there, man. Shout out to Nancy for that. Gangster.
Yes, I've been saying that from the very beginning. And even for someone to write a comment like that, if you think you already know what's coming, I don't think that there's any excuse for no matter what happened, no matter what the outcome, for someone to die. And if you think that that is folly or fun, that, oh, you know it's coming, that someone's dead, no. The same people who think stuff like that are the same people who are offended by people criticizing and analyzing Charlie Kirk's death. When people say, you know, Charlie Kirk, I didn't think the man should die that way, but he said some horrible shit about people. I think he was racist. Not I think he was racist. The things that came out of his mouth were racist. Those same people are like, oh, how dare you? Oh my God, why do you talk about Charlie that way? And then, you know, they're like, oh, crying about their friend. Oh. Yeah, the man shouldn't have died. But he espoused some horrible views that did not need to be in the arena. Should not be part of the way Americans think about each other. Have you already made up your minds? Because if we have already decided, then this stopped being a search for the truth a long time ago. It became something else. It became a fight over whose story wins, which team wins. And that part really, really worries me because the only story that really matters, and I'm back to it again, is the thing that people are forgetting about in all of this, which team wins. This creator fighting with this creator. This one's owning this person. This one's calling somebody else a name. That's all in it. You know, all well and good. That happens. But the one thing that really matters is Nolan's story, is Nolan Wells. So what I will say to you is that let's keep this real, everybody. Let's stop being on teams and let's listen for a minute for the facts. Even with your confirmation bias, listen for the facts, whether you are team, whatever it is. You should be team truth, but if you're team Nolan or your team family or your team friends or if you're team law enforcement, no matter what it is, listen with an open mind. Now, I'm not saying be a Pollyanna, be Pollyannish and be stupid, because circumstantial evidence is, people go to prison on circumstantial evidence. And remember, as they have been warned by pathologists, with a pathologist on, first thing she said was that it's the autopsy is not the end of the story. It tells you the manner. I don't know the manner or the means or whatever it is, but there are a whole lot of other circumstances that come into play. So let's keep it real and keep our eyes on exactly what it should be. Now, I'm going to play some reports for you. I'm going to talk more about this, about you. Make sure you hit the like and the thumbs up because it is important and affects the algorithm. More people become aware of our conversation and our
the death of Nolan Wells. And as a story of the Mississippi 18-year-old has gained massive traction on social media, Public Safety Commissioner Sean Tindall is clearing false reports. The commissioner took to social media to say, quote, the purported toxicology report from Nolan Wells is circulating through social media on various outlets is fraudulent. Nolan's family, friends, and most importantly, Nolan himself deserve better. Fraudsters, AI, and social media are a recipe for disaster. All they want you to do is click and share. Don't.
I think it's one of the dangers that we face in the modern world where, evidence out in the background, and it can be, and I'm not saying this was manipulated, but audio can certainly be manipulated. Pictures can be manipulated. Video can be manipulated and rather easily. And so
what does that say about Officer Tatum saying that Nolan Wells was on cocaine? But everybody want to blame us, the little YouTubers down here that's doing their thing. What does that say about that guy? The man has a big platform. The man's on Nancy Grace and everybody else. Yet the man is spewing that type of rhetoric. How helpful is that to an investigation? And he's a cop. So he knows about contaminating evidence and he knows about messing up a goddamn case. He knows about that, right? He's an officer, right? Saying we got confirmation bias. That man is confirmed bias against Nolan Wells and his family already. He's already taken the side of those young men. Take the side of whoever you want, but all the facts aren't out. So imagine you take the side of these young men and it comes out that they are guilty. Then what? Because I've been pointing my fingers to anybody said this one's guilty and he's guilty. We don't know the facts. All we know is something feels very shaky, homie. And things are very suspicious. Period, point blank. Even the body washing up in a spot where they were searching initially vigorously. Not to mention the boat making 58 moves when y'all was taking on water. Not to mention that. Yeah, not to mention that. How y'all made so much moves, bro? Look at the boat. Boat doing hammer time. It's hammer time. Look, hammer time. Shit moving like Michael Knight and Kid. What had happened? But we the one that you blaming. We got the confirmation bias. Yeah, okay. Miss me with the bullshit. Miss me. Thank you.
I think it's something that we have to keep in mind these days.
Tindall also says the evidence will reveal the facts, adding that digital forensics professionals regularly analyze this type of information and should be allowed to examine it.
Mm-hmm. So there you go. There's a warning. And then I mentioned earlier about the mother of Nolan Wells responding to some of the things that are out there, some of the things that people are saying, even some of on Friday morning.
We've seen this before, right? Pattern recognition. We've seen this where things have happened, especially when we talk about the Black community. And, after the death, it's a smear campaign. It's, what can we find out about this person? What can we say? And, that's something, my family and I, especially my husband and I, we definitely do not appreciate. But, we can't fight everyone that wants to have an opinion. But also, too, it's part of society that has been allowed to occur, which is it's gut-wrenching at best. Because if you were in our situation, how would you feel if there were millions of people who are saying, oh, hey, well, he was at an island, he was heavily drunk. And again, even with the drinking, there are so many conflicting stories, only because I have spoken with adults who.
This is from the MDMR, which is the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources, okay? This is why they was looking for Nolan, okay? If you look on the bottom lines that's coming in, not where the name Real Freeman is. You see date, okay? This is when they was looking from July 4th. You see time. You see location. You see the subject. He's a male, Black, 6'1" tall. He's 180 pounds. You see food intake. You see alcohol intake is heavy. Who would be the person to say that his alcohol intake was heavy? Because that is on the day that they're looking for him on July 4th. Who else but his so-called friends? He's drinking heavy. What was y'all doing? Officer Tatum said he was on the ski slopes. He was doing cocaine. So what was they doing? And better yet, where the hell did he get that alleged cocaine? That's my question to any goddamn body who think they somebody. It's my question. That's just my question. Oh, okay. Let's listen to his mom speak, because shout out to this woman. This woman, virtuous, character, the epitome of holding it together, done lost your child. And she talking everything that she's saying with a straight face, focused. That's a mother. That's a mother. You know what I mean? I know it's good for you to have a lawyer when you got something going on, or some lawyers to represent you. But when you got a mother like this representing you, how are you going to fail? Because even in death, Nolan still won't be failed if it's up to this woman right here. And this woman is selfless. She opened her platform when she got national notoriety for her son to 2 more other children, young guys. They children to me, young men who was unalived in suspicious ways. And they ain't get no justice either. And one of those people, Tyler Smith, was unalived on the same day as Nolan Wells. Daniel Irving is another one. They lied and said he drowned and he jumped off a railroad bridge. Look at my face. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay.
Knew Nolan very well, coaches that were out there. One in particular, I think he told me he saw Nolan somewhere between like 2:45 and 3:30. He was like, Christine, yeah, we talked for a while. We talked about college. We talked about his life, his plans. And he was like, he was perfectly fine. Because I think it had bothered him too, that there was this narrative of, oh, he was sloppy drunk. Like that. And it started at the very beginning. It was, oh, he was sloppy drunk. And I'm like, but was he though? Or is this a narrative that you guys want to use to kind of have us just accept that it was a drowning?
So that was a mom last week.
Enforcement agencies have been monitoring threats made to several parties involved in the investigation. Now, an arrest has been made. According to court documents, Joseph Alfredo Vasquez Dumars is in custody for an alleged death threat sent to Jackson County Chancery Judge Ashley Cole, the stepmother of one of the friends.
This is the actual indictment, since they bringing it up, of one Joseph Alfredo Vasquez Dumars, who's making threats, boom threats, all types of threats. Not only that, this man has been convicted of harassing, trying to solicit, trying to seduce minors, relieving himself, touching himself in front of minors. Yet this man is around threatening people's children. I don't care what side of the fence you on. You could be on it for Nolan. We don't want that for anybody's children, bro. That's weirdo activity. And do you understand that this man only faces up to 5 years, only up to a $250,000 fine, and only 3 years post supervised release? That's it. The maximum this man can get is 5 years after this man was weaponizing against children. And he already is on the offenders list, Megan's damn law, for doing inhumane things with children. The world we live in is crazy, man. Protect your children. Protect your kids. Protect any kid that you can protect. To protect another child is to protect your own. This world is sick. This world is sick. For real. This shit makes me sick, bro. This shit makes me sick. You hear my daughter in the background. The shit makes me sick.
Who traveled to Horn Island on July 4th with Nolan Wells. According to court documents, Dumars sent a direct message on Facebook referencing a package being sent to Cole's office, reading, "It's gonna blow you away when you see it."
The threats that are going out there from various people, that has to stop. I mean, it's just absolutely unacceptable. We're better than that in Mississippi. We're better than that on the coast. And we're better.
I don't know what we better than in Mississippi, bro. I got friends from down there, bro. And they be telling me some shady ass stories when it comes to Mississippi, bro. I done seen the movie Mississippi Burning, bro. Besides Mega Ever's story and a bunch of other things that I can tell you. I'm an avid reader. Mississippi? Yeah, all right. Yeah, okay. Miss me with the bullshit. Shout out to all my people from down there. But you know the goddamn truth. You know I ain't lying on it. Shit shady as hell. Let's go into Ben Crumb, get a little update real quick, see what the hell happening.
Happy to have you, my man.
Thank you, sir. Pleasure to be with you.
Ah, man, it's a pleasure having you. I mean, it's so much I want to ask you. It's so much I want to get into. I know you're a busy guy, so I don't want to take up that much of your time. Nolan Wells, for the people that's unfamiliar with that case, can you break that down?
Certainly. Nolan Wells was an 18-year-old Black teenager who, on 4th of July, was celebrating with his friends, and he went out on Horn Island. He went with his 3 other friends, at least what we have in the photograph, and they were young white teenagers. He was the only Black teenager. And somehow they all came back home safely on the 4th of July, but Nolan Wells did not come home. His mother, their families announced that he was missing. They were, out of their mind with concern. And then his body was found washed up on shore 2 days later, face down, dead. And so then everybody started to try to say, well, what happened? When you look at the videos, there were 300, 400 people out there. And what we've been saying, somebody knows something, somebody saw something. There was a young lady named Katie who said that, she was talking to Nolan, but then he got back on the boat with the people he came with, or got back on the boat with the boys. And the boys who were on the boat with him said, Nolan said he was going to stay behind with Katie, and that he was not going to go back with them. One of the things that has been bewildering is the fact that if he says he's going to stay behind, why doesn't an 18-year-old get their cell phone? If they're not going to go with the boat, why would they leave it with them? His mother, called his phone 3 times, got no answer after they started getting concerned. And it was when they did the Life 360, trying to say, find my phone, is when she found out that the phone were with the friends. And so her friend went to get the phone. And when they got the phone back, they discovered that there were a lot of Snapchat messages that were deleted. They also found that there were some texts deleted. So that was very concerning to them as they're trying to figure out, what happened to my child? Our child is dead and we have no answers. Nobody's telling us anything.
If you don't know, this is Katie. This is at Katie's house. So a bunch of Black people are online right now defending Katie, saying this is not the kind of person Katie is. Her and her family give you the clothes off their back. Katie then went to 3 rivers with us mad times. This is at Katie crib. I can only spot 3 white faces in the whole thing. The girl that's sitting in the front, I thought she was Black too because she got the black hair, the black socks, and the black shirt. And in 2026, that's enough to consider you Black. But some people in that chat is cooking Katie too to say, yo, hell, you the last one that got any known of his whereabouts. What was his mind state like? What was his physical state like? What the hell was going on? When he said, was he getting on a boat? What happened? When you found out that he wasn't on the boat, what did you do? Did you go, yodelay, hee-hoo? What the hell did you do, Katie? Because I was saying maybe Katie had some jungle fever. Maybe she had jungle fever. And maybe that was the damn issue. Trust me, I done seen it happen in my goddamn life. Unhand me, Becky, Sue. I done seen it. You know, Uda look good when he ready. I done seen it. But what the hell happened with Katie? We're going to get into Katie next. Don't worry about that shit. We're going to get into Katie, and then we're going to get into Officer Tatum ass too. Hold up.
And so it became just an incredibly painful ordeal for them trying to find out what happened to Nolan Wells. And then America became engaged in this matter because it wasn't adding up to anybody. He says, I'm going to stay behind, but he leaves his cell phone. He doesn't have his car keys. Well, if he's staying behind and you don't have any of that information, people are saying, did he stay behind? And so that becomes a question. And, obviously there's this CETO audio that comes out that people have did forensic audio engineering on it to try to see what was being said on the audio recording of the CETO counter 911 type call. And it's in that call that people say they hear certain things. We have retained audio engineering experts to be able to decipher and to render expert opinions on the validity of the CETO 911 audio that seems to suggest things about the presence of Nolan. And so we are trying not to speculate. We're trying to investigate, but we are asking questions that don't add up to us. And that's what everybody's been doing, because everybody says, how can this 18-year-old college football player who's in tip-top shape just go missing and nobody knows anything? Nobody's seen anything. And the sheriff within, hours after he was discovered, his dead body, they claimed that, that no foul play, accidental drowning is what they suggest. And his family are saying, we can't accept that when you make that conclusion without doing no investigations. And so what they want is a full, impartial, fair investigation into what happened to Nolan Wells. In our community, we see people investigate it very zealously. And so we want the same thing for our children. We want them to zealously investigate this matter, just as if they would if the roles were reversed. And that's what I think has people in the minority community saying, hold on, We want to know what's on everybody's phone. We want to know social media, because all of that could become very relevant information as to what happened to Nolan Wells.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the woman that Nolan was hanging out with when he was at the island, Katie, her sister, Gracie, came out and said that Nolan intended to go back to the mainland with his friends, right?
Yeah, there seems to be a conflict in what they're saying. They said he stayed with the young lady. The young lady said no, he got back on the boat. And so,
that is what Katie's sister, Gracie McCormick, said. She said that Nolan was supposed to get back on the boat with them. And Katie damn near surprised that they would even leave Nolan. So the conflicting statements and none of this. But they blaming YouTubers. You sure about that? Okay.
Oh, that seems to be one of the biggest issues that everybody is trying to figure out, as well as the independent autopsy where he had red discoloration at the back of his brain that was found in the second autopsy, and also the fact that the initial state medical examiner kept possession of Nolan Wells' throat. And we don't know why they did that. Our pathologist, Dr. Roger Mitchell, said when he was the chief medical examiner for the city of Washington, D.C., that they normally would do that it wasn't uncommon if they suspected that there might be some fracture or some compressions to the throat.
So after y'all did the autopsy, from what you know,
Compressions. Are we talking about that? Is that the reason why they don't want to show us what the hell going on? And they saving to show that to a grand jury without no suspect? And I just played the video of the man that worked with us with the grand jury and prosecutions and said 99.9% of the time, the grand jury do what the prosecutions want them to do. They in a room by themselves talking about this thing. What do you believe? What you think is going to happen? Shout out to the family for starting that civil suit, though. The civil suit that the family took out against the families of those young men helps them to preserve evidence. Digital, electronic, physical evidence, all of those things. The boat logs, how many times that boat fueled up, all of those evidence have to be preserved now. And if they do not, friends of the family, even people who are representing them, if those evidences are not preserved, if there is a trial, then that will be presented to the grand jury as you're trying to hide things, sir. You're trying to hide things, sir. That's what that's going to look like. Your people is trying to hide things.
Shit. Got your ass.
so what do you believe that was on the back of his neck?
We can't speculate. We know that we think Dr. Roger Mitchell should have the benefit of looking at all the autopsy notes and observations and photographs from the first autopsy, and then have, the state medical examiner be able to look at all of his notes from the second autopsy and try to work together to figure out what conclusions that they can draw from the autopsies, both of them. And then also waiting for toxicology. That becomes a factor in finding out the manner and cause of death. But Dr. Mitchell said, and this is a very, very important, he said, if it's a drowning, then that still doesn't answer the whole question of what happened to Nolan Wells, because he said then there are questions about, was Nolan Wells' condition of his body conscious or unconscious when he went into the water? Furthermore, he said, did he go into the water unforced or forced? He said all those things become factors.
Makes a lot of sense. And I know his friend Warren Hudson, he came out with an interview where he made a statement about how Nolan, he was drinking liquor on the boat. You heard about that?
Well, we don't know. We want the toxicology to come. We know when you hear the CTO audio call, it appears that there was some intoxication. But again, toxicology can tell us that. And people's firsthand eyewitness testimony can tell us that. We want answers. You know, as I've said over and over again, I am for truth, no matter who it implicates or who it exonerates. I am for justice, no matter who it convicts or who it acquits. And I am certainly for transparency so all of us can see and we can have trust in the system that this was a fair, impartial, and complete investigation. That's what everybody would want if this was their child.
Crazy, man. Let's go into something else, though. Let me show y'all, man. Let me show you what the hell's going on, especially when it comes to Katie. Especially when it comes to Katie, if you don't know who Katie is and what happened with Katie. I do want to read something because this is what they was talking about with Katie online. Katie was they was clapping at Katie online. You know what I'm saying to you? Look, this is what's going on with Katie. People done wrote a whole damn, I'm writing you a 4-page letter. Yeah. Okay. And sealed it with some cuffs. Put some handcuffs on your ass because we're trying to figure this thing out. Look, Katie McCormick's black friends are speaking out, but they are not all saying the same thing. Make sure you can hear me good. Look, they said friends of Katie McCormick who are black have taken to social media to defend Katie's character. These friends of Katie are insisting that she is not racist, would never intentionally hurt Nolan Wells, and should not be judged based upon social media accusations. I support them sharing their thoughts and opinions, but other black friends and acquaintances of Katie's have also spoken up with some tough questions. While many of them aren't outright saying that they think that Katie hurt Nolan, but they do want to know what Katie saw, what Katie heard, and what Katie knows about Nolan's last hours on Horn Island. Skin color aside, both of these things can be true. You can be friends with or know a person of color and still have information that could be beneficial to an investigation. Claiming that someone is a good person doesn't provide us with answers about what actually happened with Nolan. Now, this investigation isn't about proving Katie McCormick is good or bad. It's about finding out what happened to Nolan Wells. If Katie was allegedly the last person to see Nolan Wells before he went missing, then her full statement matters, okay? When was the last time you saw Nolan? All good questions. What was his physical state? What was his emotional state? Did Nolan tell her that he was going to stay on that island? Did she actually see Nolan's friends leave without him? Why did she reportedly believe Nolan came back with another group of students? When did she realize that Nolan was not with the group and he was actually missing? Did she see or hear anything that could help us create a timeline of Nolan's last known movements? Truth gang, we can hear those who are coming to Katie's defense, and we could also hear those who have some questions. Friendships, race, and personal character statements are not going to help us create a verified timeline of events. We aren't asking the public to vilify Katie McCormick. We are asking that those with information to give the full truth to investigators. Please don't ask us to pick a side. Just help us figure out what happened to Nolan Xavier Wells, and close quote. And that's when we get the images going on. This at Katie Crib. Whoop, whoop. Party at Katie Crib looking like a cookout. Look, I ain't mad with them. You know what I mean? Salute to them. You know what I mean? They be around a bunch of black people. I get it. I get it. But we just want answers. We just want to know what is the last thing, because they saying that you was the last one around him. One of the people, I think it was Warren that did his interview, he said that Nolan was cradling Katie in her arms. Another one, I forget his name, he done came out to say, they shared a look at each other when Katie was with Nolan or something, and Nolan kind of laughed or something like that, something funny like that. That's why people was allegedly pushed to think and believe that Bart had a connection with Katie, but we understand now that Bart's lawyer has come out to say that Bart never knew Katie from paint. First time he ever seen her was on the damn Horns Island, and the girl that was circulating in the image that was going around online was not actually Katie McCormick. Okay, cool. which led to him saying that he's suing content creators. And by next week or so, we'll know the first content creator, if he didn't release it already, that he will be suing. And trust me, it will be a big content creator. But the lawyer even said, the lawyer name is Attorney Latino. That's his last name. Not that he's Latino, probably is. But he said that not only big content creators, not only small, not only if you use allegedly or you said you heard it from somebody else as a rumor, they're going to be seeking justice and civil penalties against you too as well. And this is not about money, because we already know that his family got money. Okay, good. So pass on that. Good. Okay, and Katie has been also to 3 Rivers and ate and party without family too. And that don't mean that she ain't got no hand in it though. She at least knew what happened, and she said she don't know. So we don't know what the hell going on with Katie. Okay, cool. This is Katie again. Boom. This person right here. Look, Tyria. You know these people, man. You know she black, bro. We be butchering up the names, bro. You know we need to stop with the names, homie. Tyria, whatever. Us at Katie's house, straight black kids. She ain't never been the type that they think she is. I swear for God. I'll put the swear for God in there, but it sounds like that's what they were trying to say. See what I'm saying? Look, they say, I know, look at this one. I know damn well they ain't not talking about that, Katie. The whole family will give you the shirt off their back. Yeah, I bet. Yeah. Look. Of course, I knew for sure that it wasn't the family because they posted some GoFundMe, but that's what they're speaking to about in this thread. They're speaking about that. Okay. Look, even Katie speaks out. Look, Katie spoke right here. They said, and another thing, I'm standing behind Katie McCormick. I understand that y'all don't know her, but me and the 1,000 of us, chocolate, copper face colored people, literally slept, ate, and party at the McCormick house. And don't forget that Dixie child. But look what Katie says. This is Katie right here, the message right here, though. This is Katie. Katie is this picture. Katie says, what's understood doesn't have to be said. I love y'all. Just pray for his family and his friends. I'm good. And all I can do is pray for healing for them. This is a terrible situation in all. And this person says that Katie has talked to the police and the parents and did everything that she could possibly do to give his parents answers. So the so-called friends are still saying that they don't remember none, though. So they're trying to put it on the friends because they saying like they don't know nothing, but everybody putting it on Katie. So that's what's happening with that. You feel me? So if you ain't get to see what happened with Katie and what Katie's saying and how a bunch of chocolate, copper face colored motherfucker is coming out defending Katie, though. I'm not saying that Katie's not a good person, or she is. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people are defending her. They're talking about that Dixie child. 1,000 of us. So whatever. You know what I'm saying? They know Katie more better than me. So who's me to say that? You know what I'm saying? But what we do know is that the boys on that boat, young men, said that Katie was the last person to see Nolan alive. And we can't forget that. And we cannot forget that, bro. You know what I'm saying? So we got to keep that to the chest, bro. We got to keep that to the chest. Feel me? This guy right here, Officer Brandon Tatum, he been silent since the fake toxicology reports when he kind of came out and stamped that Nolan was on drugs. But we ain't got no toxicology reports on how you know he on drugs. So that means you listening to them young men that much that you gonna go out and say this and you believe this allegedly? What type of shit is this? So if TMZ allegedly is spreading misinformation and trying to doctor up the info, then what the hell is this man doing? Answer me that. Riddle me that, bro. Riddle me that. What is he doing? He ain't doing no better. He's supposed to be a former officer, supposed to be about some justice and some professionalism and some unbiasedness and just out in seeking the justice. But what the hell happened? He already drew his line in the sand. No pun intended. He done drew his line in the sand. What happened to my daughter? If you don't go eat your hash browns and your sausages, your butt gonna be missing. Play with me in here. Go eat your sausages. Yo, it's crazy though. It's really, really crazy work of what's going on with this whole situation. Hold up though. Let's see this one though. There's so much things going on. But I like how Nancy Grace was on their ass though.
They say Nolan chose to stay behind because he met a girl he wanted to talk to named Katie. That girl has spoken through her sister, we are told. And she says Nolan told her, I'm going back with my friends. So who am I supposed to believe? I don't know for a fact that what the boys are saying is true. I don't know for a fact that what the boys are saying is false. I do know they called SEATOW, S-E-A, second word T-O-W, and said that their vessel was sinking. But yet they continued boating around in it for hours after. Is there an innocent explanation? Maybe. Maybe they thought it was sinking. They found the problem and they fixed it. Now, specters have been raised about audio suggesting Nolan had been on the boat on their return. I don't know if that was doctored. I don't know if it's real.
That's good for you to question, Nancy. Keep on asking them questions, my white soul sister. Keep asking them damn questions. You know what I mean? My white chocolate sister. Keep asking them questions. But my question is this: could they have broke their own goddamn boat? Trying to speed off. Zoom this shit in. Zoom this infographic that I've created for you. I've created this. Because sometimes we need visuals. Because we don't know everything. What the hell's a bilge pump? Some people call it a bilge pump and all type of thing. What is a bilge? A bilge is a part of the boat, the lowermost bottom part of the boat. That's what the bilge is. The pump is supposed to relieve water and removes water from the bilge, the lowest part of the boat. But look what happens when you take off improperly. Take off, trim down, bow down. This is how you do. It helps the boat to get on plane faster and stays in control. When you're on plane, the second image, trim up and you optimize. This is more speed and better efficiency for a very smooth ride when you're in the water. But look what happens when you put too much trim. Like maybe them boys are trying to get the hell out of Dodge. The bow gets too high, which is dangerous. The hull gets compromised, the hull, which is the back of the boat. So poor control, right? Slamming and pounding in the rough water. When the bow is too high and the slamming handles, look what happens. The hard landings and pounding can stress the hull and the fittings and the equipment can cause cracks and loose fittings and leaks. Loose or damaged hoses or fittings. Aggressive movement can loosen hoses or clamps connected to the pump or other through the hull fittings. Damaged wiring from the pounding and the vibrations. And number 4, the water overwhelms the system. Water enters faster than its actual bilge pump that's on the top right can remove it due to leaks or heavy seas, and the pump can't keep up. The boat begins to flood. It cannot keep up with pumping out the water. And this is what a bilge pump is. And it removes water, it keeps the boat safe, and works automatically when the water rises. So could they have trimmed up too damn fast, try and speed out of damn Dodge, try and get gingerbread on us? That's Happy Feet. That's that. On water. Playing Jesus, walking on water real fast. Could they have broke their own boat? Because ironically, now you got a problem with the bilge. The boat was there the whole time. Why wasn't the boat broken from the very beginning? Why wasn't y'all making that SEATOW call since y'all was on land? What had happened? Let's think about this. What part did y'all make this call? Look at the graphic of all the moves that the boat made. What part did you make the call at? At 3? At 4:31? This is when y'all made the call after y'all left Horn Island from 2 to 3? Was you speeding? Was you speeding? Did you trim up? Did you have the bow in the air? And was the hull waving like you just don't care? What had happened? Tell me what happened. Explain it. I got to explain it to me, y'all. And this is why I create these infographics so that you can see things that you don't understand or realize. But something is shaky as hell about this shit. Regardless of what you think, regardless of what side of the fence you on. I'm not an echo chamber. You can have any side of the fence that you want on this. I'm not here to make you believe nothing. I'm just trying to investigate what I deem the facts to be. Straight. And something is not right. Something is not toward. It's not toward. It's really not. It's really not. Shout out to Nancy Grace, though. Shout out to Nancy, bro. Shout out to Nancy for keeping her her stiletto heel on their neck. You know what I mean? I know she got a little red bottoms on because she got a little money. Shout out for keeping your red bottoms on they that. You know what I'm saying? Nancy, shout out to you for that. On Jesus sandals, shout out to you. No jokes with that. Shout out.